Nicki Mills, Republican challenger for District 26 in the Colorado House of Representatives. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today.
You're welcome.
So let's start with your background and what led you to run for House District 26.
Well, I moved to the area about 10 years ago and have been traveling and visiting the Vail Valley for the past 20 years, and I've absolutely fallen in love with the area and especially the people here who I hope to represent. And I come from a family with a strong background in serving and giving to others, and that's one of the greatest passions in my life. And my grandmother started a food shelf, that's what we call it in Minnesota. Around here, they call it a food bank. And my mother now runs that. So I remember working with my grandmother and my parents for volunteering in the community through their Lions and Lioness clubs. And it's a sense of service and giving back is something that's really important to me. And I understand that in order for a government to function, you need people who are willing to put themselves out there, to raise their hand and answer the call to serve. So that's why I am prepared at this time to be the next representative.
Can you highlight one or two of the most important issues that you would be focused on?
I would say the top issues in our area is the cost of health care and insurance, and then also the lack of affordable housing, and education is something that is really important to the people in my district. Those are three top areas.
And can you expand on those? What would your plans be for those areas?
Well, as far as like education goes, I really think that having the schools that we have here, preparing students to go out and be prepared to be active members in our local workforce. Right now, we're kind of a pipeline for serving the resort industries, and I would like to see the schools prepare students to get maybe higher paying quality jobs, and preparing students for jobs that might not even be available today but in the near future. So that's something regarding education that I would really like to see. And for healthcare, there's a lot that can be done regarding transparency. Like, there's not many businesses out there that you walk in the door and you have no idea what it's going to cost you at the end of the day when you get done doing business with that business. And in the healthcare industry here, the lack of transparency makes it a big surprise what your bill is at the end of the day. So I think that being able to shop around for services and having transparency is really important. I'm also interested in collaborating with other organizations around here that are working to allow small businesses to come together and be able to purchase better insurance plans, and that would be something that is provided by the small businesses for their employees. I have a lot of friends around here that aren't able to afford health care, and they're sitting at home sick instead of going to the doctor because they're afraid of what it's going to cost them. And those that are enrolled in healthcare plans are paying, what might be close to a mortgage, several $1,000s, for example, for a family of four. That's per month. And these high costs attribute to the people no longer being able to live and stay in our areas. They move here, maybe they get married and then have a kid, and now they're forced to leave because they can't afford the expenses to be able to stay in the Vail Valley. And that really breaks my heart. I'm really sick and tired of going to my friends' going away parties.
Another issue that you mentioned is affordable housing, or the lack thereof. Can you talk about plans or what you would do for that issue?
Yes, as far as housing goes, I just spent Saturday at a Diva Day building with Habitat for Humanity in dots or gypsum. And, it's such a big issue around here, affordable housing. And I really liked what Habitat is doing, but they're building maybe 6 to 8 houses a year, which does not make a big dent in the problem that we have. And even if we were able to build more affordable housing, the problem is going to continue because more people will move here, and it's a supply and demand issue. And I'm really happy with what is currently happening in Eagle County. There are a lot of builders who have projects in the works. And one of the problems I see, though, is working with the county or working with the local towns, governments, that it delays the process. And whenever there's a delay, that ends up costing the builders more money. So as a leader in the House of Representatives, I would want to help work between the builders and the local governments to speed up that process, to reduce the amount of delays that end up being so costly. And I think that's really discouraging to developers, because they're trying to do their best to provide more affordable housing, and then it becomes too expensive, and those projects then are set aside, and they would rather build multi-million-dollar homes and make more money on it. So I think that we need to do things that would make it more encouraging for builders and developers to get involved.
Can you talk about balancing development with the rural character of a lot of Eagle County that does draw people here and that people value?
Well, we are really blessed to be able to live in such a beautiful area, and we attract people from all over the country. They want to move to Colorado, and our House District 26 with the towns of Vail and Basalt and El Jebel and Steamboat, those areas are very attractive. And I don't think that it's a good idea for a government to step in and to try to slow down the process of growth. And that's something that I would discourage, is the government trying to regulate how much growth these communities can have. But I would encourage the leaders of the towns and the county to, continue to be making plans for this growth, because it is happening.
And last question, Nicki, what sets you apart in this race from the other two candidates?
Well, I am not a politician, and this is the first time that I am running as a candidate. And I feel like people can trust me when elected, that I will be the ears and voice of my voters. As a single mom, I know how to balance budgets, be resourceful and fiscally responsible. I care deeply about my friends and the neighbors in District 26 who are struggling to be able to continue to afford to live here. I have close friends who have been forced to leave here because they're no longer able to survive because of the problems we have in this district, such as high costs of health care, insurance, housing, and lack of high-paying jobs. And I feel we must do better. And because I'm not a career politician, I think that I can bring a new vision for House District 26. I want to try to encourage people to create innovative technology and research jobs here that bring higher paying jobs to our communities. And I feel like we can do that by diversifying the type of jobs that are available here, and training and educating students and adults for jobs that might not even be here today, but to prepare for our future. And another thing that distinguishes me from my other opponents is that I'm really proud that my campaign is composed of lifelong supporters on both sides of the aisles and unaffiliates. And I feel I will be an effective representative because I'm a peacemaker and a mediator who will work to build bridges across party lines.